If you want to win more gunfights and win more games in Battlefield 6 Redsec, watch these next 25 minutes and I'm going to share with you my thought process throughout this entire game and how I got a win with 13 kills. What's going on, everyone? My name is Alyus. I've been a full-time Call of Duty coach for the last 4 years, so if you're interested in coaching, check it out in the description below. So I always instantly land at a place where I'm feeling most comfortable to pick up a weapon instantly. And once I pick up this weapon, I know that other people landed here, but look how I put my back against the wall and I start rotating clockwise or counterclockwise. The reason why I'm doing this is just to make sure I don't get shot in my back. I only have to focus on what's in front of me. Now, the second I got this kill, I did hear other players landing, so I'm playing extremely fast for these third parties, just knowing that the chances of these players having, no plates or just a pistol, I should be in an easy gunfight. Now, a big thing about Battlefield is simply taking your time. As you see, I got that guy one shot, but I never fully pushed forward for that kill, just because if you're getting caught running around a corner or if you're caught in a fatal funnel, you are dead. Such as right here, this enemy actually rotates around me, but my first reaction will be run away. Get behind cover, plate up. A good piece of advice I can tell you guys is to play windows and doorways. If you always play windows and doorways, it gives you an exit. You can exit inside the building or outside the building. Such as right here, I try to push inside the building for some info, and the second that I overextended, I ended up dying. I should have just played in the doorway, throwing shoulders, get that info, run away to the next doorway, run away to the next window. And by doing this, I am allowing these enemies to push towards me, and it gives me these easier fights. Such as Holland right here, he's playing this perfectly right now, where he's going to peek these doorways, and eventually these enemies just run right in, and our teammate gets a nasty down. He then re-challenges, gets the first full kills. This allows me to fly back in and then grab this loot. So after landing back in and grabbing this loot, my teammate ends up getting shot and he runs towards me. Now, when he gets shot and he runs towards me, I understand that these enemies probably think he's just one player, and I can use this to my advantage. I can now wait for these enemies to push us, and that's what I betted on. I'm like, okay, these enemies think there's only one player here. They should rush this. And long and behold, they end up rushing it. We get a very easy first kill. Thankfully, I use my teammate to bait and switch. We get nice two-piece. Holland barely even took any damage, which was fantastic. Now, you always want to make sure you clear the area before looting up. And if you can, try to keep your distance and look over the loot to see what you may want to pick up, because you may get caught out in the open like we saw right here. Now, after getting shot, I thought these enemies might push up again, but I threw this pre-grenade right here just to make sure the guy can't peek the doorway or push up. And eventually I saw this player rotating with the high ground. Now, this was a bad angle, so I instantly break the line of sight, try to get behind cover, but I'm doing something very important here. I'm treating the enemy like the middle of a clock, and I'm rotating around him clockwise or counterclockwise. Just like we saw with my very first landing, I landed, put my back against the wall, rotated clockwise, counterclockwise. This is another example where I'm literally putting my back against the wall, rotating clockwise, counterclockwise. And even right here, you can see that as I'm rotating throughout this entire building, I'm always trying to stick to the outside, always sticking to the outside. Right there, I thought those enemies might have pushed me, and I peek. They ended up pushing me, but I get one shot, so I realize I need to run away, which if you guys can just pull out your knife as much as possible and run away, that's going to help you a crap ton. I've gotten out of so many sticky situations just with this knife. Now, I instantly got right back to high ground, and the reason why is because I'm expecting these enemies to either go to high ground or they're going to push under me, which if they push under me, I can now look over the ledge and look for these kills. But I predicted these enemies. They rotated toward high ground. Once they got to high ground, they ran right into me, and I got myself a first kill. Now, granted, after this first kill, I know that he has a teammate, so I'm expecting this teammate to either pinch me or still be in the same spot. And I'm actually going to skip past this because I was really expecting this enemy to make moves, but he doesn't make moves at all. And in fact, I actually randomly run into him, and thankfully I slammed him. So as you see here, I'm taking my sweet time, just chilling, waiting for these enemies to push. But then I finally said, all right, you know what? We need to get active. We need to find plates. And long and behold, the enemy was just sitting right there, which if you're wondering how did I win that gunfight, Spamming that crouch button is really good in Battlefield right now. As you can see, I'm still rotating through this building by putting my back against the wall and rotating clockwise, counterclockwise. This simple strategy will help you guys win so many more gunfights, win so many more games, and it's literally the easiest thing ever. Just keep your back against the wall so you're safe. Obviously, play windows and doorways so you always have an escape. Pull out your knife if you're faster at it. And of course, take your time in gunfights. Fast forward to now, at this point, it looks like the entire building should be safe. So I'm trying to see if there's any loot that people miss, and I'm hoping to find upgrades for my weapons. I'm trying to find 6 plates. Having those plates are very useful, especially towards the end game. And right now, it's really just an ultimate goal of try to become a super soldier. Find the best loot possible, and then we'll start our rotation. After finding a purple LMG, a airstrike, and then some extra plates, we now talk about rotating. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up this big map, and when we pull up this big map, you always wanna eyeball the center of the circle, and that's a rough area on where the game's gonna end. And literally, that's it. Just eyeball the center of the circle, the game is gonna be somewhere around there, but obviously it could pull more towards here, could pull more towards to the right, west, south. It could be somewhere in there, but the whole point is it's somewhere in the middle, and if you can rotate and get there first, you're in a way better position to win the game. Now, before going for this rotation, I actually saw red dots on our mini-map. I also heard gunfights towards this area, so I'm just running over here looking for these enemies. And as I'm pushing up, again, I really just went middle there to see if I could see anyone crossing, but now I'm once again getting to high ground, putting my back against the wall and looking for these players. Again, the only reason why I'm going middle is just to see if I can see enemies running through these buildings, running down low, running through the down low buildings. Maybe I can see someone run across. That's the only reason why I'm positioning myself in the middle, is just to get info. But the second that I get that info on, oh crap, there's an enemy down low right here, I'm now treating that enemy like the middle of a clock, and I'm going clockwise or counterclockwise to basically shoot him in any direction. Now, of course, this is also here to cut enemies off, but we'll get there when we get there. So now I hear these enemies going for a contract right now, and I don't see anyone peeking, so I decided to jump down, but I actually get some crappy timing, but thankfully my teammate dropped down with me, so I decided to shoot with him. But I will say, I had a doorway right next to me. I could have just pushed inside of the doorway, and now I have a window and a doorway to exit. I kind of overcommitted there, but hey, we're learning this game together. It just released 2 days ago, and we're gonna work towards being more and more perfect. Now, after that revive, my teammate does get downed, but this is an opportunity for me to let the enemies push me. So I peek real quick to see if they're pushing. They get a really good grenade, but I then peek again, and I'm able to get one down. Now, the second I get this down, this enemy's gonna do 2 things. He's either going to revive his teammate or he's gonna push me. I figured he was gonna go for the revive, so I'm full committing to this gunfight, and then I'll revive to my teammate. Which, again, playing these windows and doorways, I treated the enemy like the middle of a clock, and now this is where I predicted what can the enemy do. And that's predicting the last position of the enemy. So once again, this enemy was on the 2nd floor, and because he was on the 2nd floor, as I'm pushing him, based on his last position, he could have either pushed me to kill me, which he didn't because I pushed, or he's gonna go up top and try to flank me, right? He's gonna treat me like the middle of a clock and rotate around me, or he's just simply gonna run away. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I was predicting him to push me, so because I pushed him and I didn't see him at all, that now means he's either going to rotate and flank us, or he's going to continue running away, and he's going to try to go for revive. So as I chase up the staircase, I'm looking to see if he's going for the flank, and thankfully I saw him go right around the corner, and now this is where I'm literally just going to chase him. Even though he hears the audio, he should not expect me to be right behind him. He's probably expecting me to be next to him. That definitely did get scary right there, because I thought he ran right under me, but it turns out he was just playing on the flower bed. But thankfully I dropped down, get that easy kill, get the revive. We can find this loot, and then we don't have any gunfights until later. Fast forward, after those kills, we got back to the high ground, and we're next to a window for an escape, and our backs are against the wall, so we are basically in a very safe position. But once again, we're getting ready to rotate, so I pull up my big map, and once again, just by eyeballing the center of the circle, I said this game is gonna end somewhere in this area. And now I'm just looking at what is the best possible place for me to be. Because again, if you eyeball the center of the circle, this is a river, this is a bridge, this is all out in the open. This is not safe. So I'm looking for the next highest ground that I can get to. I will say that crossing the river, that's just out of question. I mean, there's no way we're gonna be able to pull that off. That's gonna be more of an end game thing, if anything. But now I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, the best thing we can do here is we can get to these buildings, because there's a lot of buildings. We can get to high ground. And once we get to high ground, if we have to rotate even more center circle, there's a crap ton of trees over here and a crap ton of vegetation, which is really nice. And as you can see, there's way more vegetation here rather than over here, right? So imagine we tried to play over here and then we try to push up. There's zero vegetation. There's not that much cover. It's basically a guaranteed death. Now, as we go for this rotation, you'll always want to try to get to a vehicle just because it's safer and it makes it easier to rotate. But if you don't have a vehicle, pull out that knife and try to make pace. Now, definitely, if you have smoke grenades, use them while crossing. If you have any airstrikes, use them so you're not being held by anyone. But thankfully, this rotation, not a lot of people play over here to begin with. So we were able to get here and find a lot of loot. And we actually didn't run into that many gunfights. But again, as you can see, I'm sticking to the edge of the building just in case I get shot. I have an exit out of these windows or doorways, and you'll see that we're gonna get to high ground and get more info on where enemies are gonna be. So we're gonna skip to that now. Now, when you play on this high ground, if you do see red dots on your minimap, please feel free to go for those kills. And of course, if you have teammates, it's gonna be way easier for you guys to team shoot. Right here, I am tap firing and burst firing, trying to hit these enemies. And then I call in this kill streak, hoping that it would kill someone. But if you actually watch this right here, you're gonna see the missile just land right on top of the enemy and it doesn't kill him. Really unfortunate, but all good. It happens right here. Boom. How did that not kill him? I got so much dope from seeing him get hit by it, but come on, man, just give me the kill. Anyways, point is, these enemies are treating us like the middle of a clock and they're rotating clockwise, counterclockwise. So we can predict this enemy to end up over here or maybe even close up to our building. But once again, we're going to play on this high ground. We're going to stick our backs against the wall. We're going to check windows and doorways. If we see enemies in the distance, we're going to tap fire, and we're going to go ahead and skip towards the end game. Now, this was squad fill, so I have no clue who Holland is, and we didn't have a mic to communicate with each other, so I'm not sure how he died here, but I do want to point out that I should have played on this high ground the entire time, but I thought about it. If I don't jump down now and I jump down later, I'm probably dead. So I figured I might as well just play the risk and just sit right under here, lay under the building, and hopefully these enemies just run right into me. And that's exactly what happens, is this enemy runs right into me, but he actually saw me. So because he saw me, I decided to get back behind cover. And because I got back behind cover, he thought he was chasing me. I get the first down. I know that there's a second player alive, and look at my patience right here. I'm literally just waiting to see if this enemy's gonna peek left or peek right, and I'm not overextending. And this enemy literally gives me a free kill just because he's panicking. He's trying to make a move. He's treating it like it's Warzone with movement. But no, just let the game come to you. Just maintain the position, let the enemies come to you. If you do need to run away, ideally you have a window or a doorway and a knife to escape. But at this point, they do have customized weapons, which I couldn't find any weapon drops near me at the time. So thankfully, I'm able to pick up their weapons. And I honestly will say I'm glad I picked up their weapons because they definitely helped me clutch up. Now, this is a very important detail for the end game. Whenever you're in this final circle like this, I will always recommend either get to the highest position and hold it, or let the gas push you in all the way till the end game. So you can see right here where I'm literally clearing around me, making sure that I'm safe. But once I realize that I can get to this high ground, I'm instantly pushing up and going for it. Again, I'm still looking out to my left and looking out to my right to make sure that there's no enemies trying to rotate around me. But I'm pretty confident that after I killed these enemies over here, I'm pretty much safe. I can just maintain this high ground. So that is another piece of advice I can say, is look out for these enemies rotating and doing the same thing against you. Again, constantly looking right, constantly looking left. Eventually, I do see people shooting over here on the right, but I take my time. Once again, this guy does not look like a confident kill, so I'm literally going to just wait for the right moment to shoot. So after about literally a minute, this player was out in the open and I tried to go for the full kill, but I could not pull it off. And randomly, this player just shows up in front of me. I have no clue how I was able to kill that guy other than he was just a third party and the original person I was shooting, his teammate peeks out and kills that other guy. Now, I do understand that there were players on this opposite side of the mountain, so I call in a cruise missile just to make sure I don't get flanked on my left. Just because I got done shooting my guns, at any moment, people could advance forward and try to take my position, but I genuinely believe, hey, if I have the tools, always use them. You don't want to die with tools. And this is a piece of advice that comes from Counter-Strike. In Counter-Strike, if you have 4 grenades, you better use all those grenades before you're dead. Even if you're in a 1v5, you better use them, right? So that's my thought process. Once again, you're gonna see how I'm just being super patient. I'm laying down, I am slowly letting the gas push me, and I'm just really focused on this left-hand side because again, I did see red dots over here, and I'm hoping that I can get the jump on these enemies, which right here, once again, just thankfully, I'm expecting an enemy to be pushing me. I'm able to react faster and win that gunfight. And now at this moment with 2 players left, I know 1 player is out in the open. I get him super duper one shot, and I realize that we're still missing 1 player. And this is now where I want to talk about the quadrant rule. So in the final circle like this, I always recommend splitting up the final circle into a quadrant. And because I came from this side of the map, we can go ahead and clear out this slice of the pie or clear out this quadrant. Now, I see that there's an enemy over here. So now I know that, okay, obviously an enemy controls this quadrant, so we can just, check mark that. But now where's this last enemy, right? We're missing another enemy. This last enemy must be over here in this quadrant or in this quadrant. Now I will say, because this enemy did not get shot at from over here, and not only that, but I can look out into this distance, I know that this enemy is not over here. Therefore, this last enemy must be in the empty quadrant. So what you're gonna see is I'm going to process this information live in game. I'm going to realize that this last enemy is in front of me, but this next enemy is probably to my left. So I pull out my SMG and I confidently push as fast as possible, looking to kill this enemy. So I'm assuming he's over the ridge, again, taking my time. I finally see him, I get the reaction. And like I said, the last player, I have high ground. There's literally nothing he can do. Usually if you can end these games in the high ground, you will always win. Just like that right there. But if you guys are interested in coaching, please check it out in the description below. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'm always happy to help. Thank you all for watching this. Hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below if you want to see more. Thank you, and peace.